Embedded in the flatlands of Kansas, Arrowhead Stadium stands as a monument to the rich history of the Kansas City Chiefs. Filled to the brim with 80,000 diehards and oozing with pomp, the stadium was ready for the Chiefs' revenge game with the Miami Dolphins. For 9 months, the Chiefs had simmered over their loss to the Dolphins in pro football's longest game. Now, vengeance was theirs. Only once did Kansas City score a touchdown, but it was a hollow 6 points in the final seconds as the ingrate Dolphins busted up the housewarming 20-10.
In the season's second week, another national television audience saw the Chiefs try to begin their season over again on a Monday night in New Orleans. Three times the Chiefs trailed, and 3 times Len Dawson brought them from behind as he completed 21 of 29 passes to a variety of receivers, including both of his tight ends, Morris Stroud, number 88, and Willie Frazier, number 83. The final touchdown went to Otis Taylor as the Chiefs tiptoed past the Saints 20-17.
The fans in Denver never give up. Someday we'll see the Broncos defeat the Chiefs again, maybe this week. After all, this is upset week, right? And who better to pull off a big upset than number 10 new quarterback Joe Kapp? Number 10 is really Steve Ramsey. And although he's no Joe Kapp yet, he did have his moments in leading the Broncos to a score in each quarter and a total of 24 points. He also got some worthwhile assistance from last year's league rushing champion Floyd Little. In the first 2 weeks of the season, 24 points would have been enough to defeat the Chiefs. Last week, it didn't even come close. Len Dawson set up the Chiefs' first touchdown with a pass to Dennis Holman, number 21. Despite good pass protection after the initial touchdown, Dawson could not cash in again and finally left the game to rest his banged-up ribs. In the second half, enter number 10, Mike Livingston, who some have said is a better runner than a passer. Livingston's first run was worth 51 yards. His first pass was worth 35 to tight end Willie Frazier, number 83. Livingston's next pass was good for a touchdown to the same Willie Frazier. Next, Livingston drilled one to Dennis Holman for another touchdown. In the fourth quarter, Livingston shook loose long enough to find Otis Taylor with his third touchdown pass. Mike Livingston has now played in 10 games with the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs have won all 10. The finishing touches were added by strong safety Jim Kearney, number 46. Minutes later, Kearney completed a rare double play. 2 interception touchdowns in the same quarter. Kansas City outscored Denver 45-24 and kept Bronco fans wondering when they might ever see their team win another over the Chiefs.
Along Along the scenic shores of Lake Erie, the wind, sun, and seas were perfect for sailing. And Cleveland fans were expecting another day of smooth sailing from Mike Phipps and the Browns offense. But one touchdown to fair hooker was all Phipps and the Browns could muster against the Kansas City defense. For Cleveland, the rest of the game meant turnover time as the Browns lost possession on 8 separate occasions. The principal victim of the epidemic was Bo Scott's replacement at running back Ken Brown, who fumbled 4 times in the first half. Number 20, free safety Mike Sensabaugh recovered 2 fumbles and intercepted his 3rd and 4th passes of the season. In all, Phipps threw 4 interceptions. Number 40, Jim Marsalis set up 1 Kansas City touchdown with an interception. But the biggest noise of the day was made by the running backs, who accounted for well over 200 yards rushing. Number 38, Wendell Hayes returned from an injury to gain 86 yards. And 5'9" Mini Mike Adamley scooted for 88. As in their previous game, the Kansas City air arm belonged to number 10, quarterback Mike Livingston, who again passed to clutch receivers like Dennis Holman, number 21. Livingston again threw for 3 touchdowns, one of them to tight end Willie Frazier, number 83. And among all the unfamiliar Chief names, there is one familiar name that almost always stands out: Otis Taylor, number 89. The Chiefs won 31-7, and after 11 games with Mike Livingston at quarterback, the Chiefs had won all 11 and were still alone atop the AFC West. These 2 men had a lot to smile about last week. For one thing, each had a good young quarterback. Number 14 is 23-year-old Ken Anderson, the Bengals' second-year quarterback from Augustana College. Number 10 is 26-year-old Mike Livingston, the Chiefs' 5th-year quarterback from SMU and still undefeated as a pro. But on a quarterback sweep, Livingston pulled up lame, and 37-year-old Lynn Dawson had to return to battle. After a 3-3 first half, Dawson brought the Chiefs to life in the 3rd quarter with his passes to Otis Taylor, number 89. In all, Taylor caught 10 passes for 149 yards, and he now leads the AFC with 28 receptions. Dawson sometimes needs extra time for Taylor to break loose, but when Dawson has the time, Taylor makes it worth the wait. Taylor's touchdown gave the Chiefs the lead at 10-3. But the Bengals retaliated with shocking suddenness when Ken Anderson flipped a short pass to Essex Johnson, number 19. Johnson's 65-yard shocker tied the game at 10-10, but there were more shocks to come for the Chiefs. Leading 13-10 early in the 4th quarter, Dawson passed to Dennis Holman, who was hit by Neil Craig and lost the ball to Tom Casanova, a rapidly emerging star in the Cincinnati secondary. Casanova's 33-yard return put the ball in position for Essex Johnson, who darted 16 yards closer to the Kansas City goal. From the 7, Ken Anderson sprinted right and hit Speedy Thomas for the touchdown, which put Cincinnati in front again, 17-13. On his next series, Anderson beat a blitz by Jim Lynch when he unloaded to wide receiver Chip Myers, number 25. Number 18, Emmett Thomas, saved a touchdown, but a Horst Moolman field goal made it 20-13. Then Dawson got in trouble again. This time it was number 52, backup middle linebacker Doug Adams, a free agent from Ohio State, who set up a third Moolman field goal. In the final minute, trailing by 7, Dawson 3 times connected with Mike Adamley, and the Chiefs had a last chance first down at the Cincinnati 8-yard line. From the 8, 4 passes were well covered by the AFC's top-rated defense. The Bengals had won what Paul Brown termed a great victory over a great team. "We've been rinky-dinks for 5 years," said Brown, "but they can't beat this team." One big reason the Bengals aren't rinky-dinks anymore is a young defensive line which leads the NFL in getting to the passer. 22 times they have dumped the quarterback. Number 83, top draft choice Sherman White, has made a big difference. And then there is always Mike Reed, number 74. Watch Sherman White, number 83, force Dawson forward, where Mike Reed can get at it. Six times the Bengal rush reached Dawson, and 5 of those times it was Mike Reed who put him down. Despite constant double teaming, Reed continued to get through to the quarterback. In Paul Brown's great victory, no one played a greater role than defensive tackle Mike Reed, number 74.
When Bob Johnson, aboard Kansas City Chief mascot Warpaint, charged onto the field, he couldn't have helped feeling that the day brought the Chiefs another little bighorn, as their opponent was to be Colonel George Armstrong Kayat, better known as Ed, head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. Kayat led the 0-5 Eagles into Arrowhead Stadium, and most expected the Eagles to leave with their spotless record intact. For today's game, Kayat chose to go with veteran Pete Lisk at quarterback and not risk rookie John Reeves Syke on the slings and arrows of the Chief defense. Including the exhibition season, the Eagles had lost 9 straight games. But while the Eagles have been remarkably consistent, poor every week, Hank Stram's Chiefs have been in and out. And the little general thinks it's time his team played up to their preseason press. Picked as one of the favorites to go to the Super Bowl, the Chiefs are currently mired in a 3-2 record and trail the Raiders in the AFC West Division. The game marks the first meeting ever between the Eagles and Chiefs, and it's a critical one for both teams. The Eagles need a win to gain respectability, and the Chiefs need the win to keep abreast of the Raiders. On Philadelphia's first 2 plays, both runs, most people saw what they expected. The Eagles could not get outside and had even less success in the middle, as Poe James was forced to recover his own fumble. Faced with 3rd and 13, Lisk rolled away from the Chief pressure and threw a prayer to double-covered James. The play had absolutely no way of succeeding, yet it did. Ben Hawkins grabbed a rebound off Mike Sensabaugh's toe and completed a 67-yard play. A team in desperate need of a break had gotten one. The Eagles' game plan was a conservative one, designed to eliminate mistakes, and though early they were not getting much by running, they stuck to their plan. By their 3rd possession, Philadelphia had established that they would run at any cost, and it kept the Chiefs honest. Was at his greatest, cleanly beating Jim Marsalis for a 2nd Eagle touchdown from 36 yards out. Jackson, a 9'3", 100 man, currently is the league's leading receiver. But it was not stats that had the Eagles flying. They were simply pumping the adrenaline and led 14-0. Lisk heaved one for Jackson, who this time beat Marsalis by even more. Incredibly, the Eagles led the Chiefs 21-0. To this point, Lisk was 6 for 6, for 185 yards and 3 touchdowns. When the Eagles' third score, they were nearly caught again. This time, Marshall chose the sideline and raced 48 yards. Again, it was Dempsey helping on the tackle, but from good field position, the Chiefs were able to assert their game plan. The Chiefs' offensive line of tackle Dave Hill, number 73, guard Mo Moorman, number 76, center Jack Rudney, number 58, guard Ed Buddy, 71, and tackle Jim Tyrer, 77, is one of the finest blocking units in the game. They average 8 years pro experience and were expected to dominate the Philadelphia defensive line. But the Eagles were charging hard, and Dawson had to go to screens to neutralize the hard rush. The screen was the Chiefs' best weapon, and for a time their only weapon, as the Eagles held the Chiefs to 44 rushing yards in the first half. When Dawson tried to pass, he rarely had time to even set and look before he had to hightail it. In the second period, the Chiefs drove twice deep into Eagle territory, but could not score a touchdown, as Dawson was held to 74 yards passing. Repeating the last play reveals that the Eagles actually should have sacked Dawson, but the good pressure by Houston Antoine, number 75, and Gary Pettigrew, number 88, gave him little time to look downfield, and he gained a scant yard. Though the Chiefs had a first down on the Eagle 29, they had to settle for a field goal and trailed 21-3. Made his first mistake, underthrowing Kent Kramer. Willie Lanier intercepted with 2 minutes left in the first half. The Chiefs began a drive that would reach the Philadelphia 25. List, but he escaped and found James. But James fumbled when hit hard by Bobby Bell and Willie Lanier. Jim Kearney, number 46, recovered and might have gone all the way had he not forgotten the ball. It was another break for the opportunistic Eagles, who were not playing like 0-5. Instead, it was the Chiefs who were on the ropes, trailing at the half, 21-6. With the Chiefs down 21-6 at the half, having given one of their worst performances in a long time, everyone was waiting for them to explode. On the opening series of the second half, they did just that. The Eagles' defense held Otis Taylor to 1 catch in the first half, but he caught one to start the drive. They had bottled up the Chiefs' blocking and held their runners to meager yardage in the first half, but on this opening drive, the Chiefs moved at will. With Wendell Hayes and Ed Podolak running 9 of the 10 plays, the Chiefs ended in the Eagles' end zone, with Podolak following right guard Mo Moorman on an 11-yard touchdown. The Chiefs' blocking, Podolak, and Hayes had looked devastating on this opening series, and it now seemed like only a matter of time before everything would again be up to date in Kansas City, as the Chiefs now trailed 21-13. As Warpaint did his victory trot, Coach Kayat and the Eagles plotted their second half strategy. Was betrayed first by his receiver Kent Kramer, then by his own arm. Number 20, Free safety Mike Sensabaugh's interception and odyssey through the end zone was merely a touchback and gave the Chiefs the ball on the 20. Culp, Jim Lynch and company again stopped the Eagles cold as Watkins and James moved backwards under the force of the Kansas City crunch. They gave up the ball, and the Chiefs took possession near midfield with 6 minutes left, trailing by 8. From here, Dawson concentrated on his short game, using his setbacks on runs and outlet passes, disdaining Otis Taylor, who was being double covered. But this is Taylor's worth. He is almost always doubled, and this will leave one of the other Chief receivers open. Dawson found tight end Willie Frazier beyond the secondary, and the Chiefs had their desperately needed touchdown. The conversion made it Eagles 21, Chiefs 20, 4 minutes to play. Could the Eagles hang on? But the defense rallied and pushed the Eagles back on the next 3 downs. Bliss was disheartened at not being able to control the ball for the remainder of the game, and Philadelphia had to punt with 2 minutes left. Again, Bradley's punt was deep, yet high enough to make Larry Marshall call for a fair catch. The Chiefs would start what would be their last series from their 33. They needed at least 30 yards in the remaining 2 minutes to get in range of Jan Stenerud's foot, or Ed Kayat and his Eagles would have their first victory of the season. First down. Dawson, with a play fake to Podolak, goes to his other setback, Jim Otis, who is chased out after 13 yards by linebacker Bob Creech, number 58. Creech, a second-year man from TCU, figured heavily in this last series. On the next play from the Chiefs' 46, Creech almost finished off the Chiefs with an interception. It's now second down from the 46, and the Chiefs are dealt the death blow by their own hand. The fumble is recovered by Lenny Dawson, but the play loses 30 yards back to the Chiefs' 17. Dawson can't go deep now. The Eagles are in a prevent defense. So on 3rd and 4th downs, he goes for the medium-range passes, but both fail. The 4th down play broken up by Bob Creech, number 58. You would never know it from Ed Kayat, but it's all over. The Eagles take over on downs with seconds left, and Pete List gratefully runs out the final moments himself. Finally, after a dismal preseason and 5 straight humiliating performances in their regular season, the Eagles had a victory, and Coach Ed Kayat couldn't wait to show it off. It had taken what Kayat knew it would take to have to beat any team, let alone the Chiefs. And he had finally gotten it from his team. A running attack that was more than a prayer at setting up the passing. Good blocking, accurate passing, few mistakes, a little bit of luck, and a strong defensive effort. He had gotten all of it in this game, and the team deserved their first victory, which cost them perhaps the first pick in the draft next year. As for the mentor Hank Stram, he's got trouble right here in Kansas City. This was their 3rd loss, yet they're still in the thick of the conference race with a 3-3 record. They may stay in it till the end, but they're just not the same Chiefs. Or maybe it's the Eagles who are not the same. Or maybe it's just another given Sunday in the NFL.
When the Chargers and the Chiefs get together, it's time for number 20, Mike Garrett, to renew acquaintances with his former Kansas City teammates. Garrett has been running well this season for San Diego, as has his running mate, number 37, former St. Louis Cardinals Sid Edwards. Edwards' 29-yard run with a screen pass set the stage for John Hadel and Mike Garrett. Garrett's 30-yard touchdown gave San Diego a 7-3 halftime lead, while the Chargers' new hard-charging defensive line throttled Len Dawson and the Kansas City offense. Finally, Dawson got the Chiefs moving with passes to his favorite target, wide receiver Otis Taylor, who leads the AFC with 35 receptions and whose style is unlike that of anyone else in the game. Late in the third period, number 14, Ed Podolak, cut inside a block by number 76, guard Mo Mormon, and the Chiefs led 13-7 after 3 quarters. In the fourth quarter, as number 87, defensive end Aaron Brown pressed into the San Diego pass pocket, John Hadel released over Brown's reach to Gary Garrison, and the Chargers were once again moving into scoring position. For the 6th time in 4 games, Mike Garrett scored against his former team, and the Chargers trailed by only 2 at 16-14 with 3 minutes still to play. Then on 3rd and 4 with 2 minutes left, Len Dawson went for it all to Otis Taylor. In a super slow-motion replay, we can see that Dawson faked an inside handoff to his fullback and then retreated behind excellent pass blocking. He looked to his left and then watched Otis Taylor break toward the post and fired deep down the middle for Taylor. Number 23, Ray Jones, stripped the ball from Taylor, but number 26, rookie receiver Robert West, was in perfect position to take it in for the touchdown. The Chiefs have now won 4 of 4 on the road and lost 3 of 3 at Arrowhead, but this week means Arrowhead and the Raiders and first place in the AFC West. More than 82,000, the largest crowd in the history of the state of Missouri, packed Kansas City's new Arrowhead Stadium last week for the Chiefs and the Raiders. Oakland got close first, but cornerback Emmett Thomas rose up to stop Darryl LaMonica's only scoring threat of the day. In the second quarter, Len Dawson and the Chiefs got hot. First with a pass to running back Wendell Hayes, number 38. With only 1 minute left in the half, Dawson again dropped back to pass. From his back, Dawson called timeout, and with 38 seconds to play in the half, a play-action pass to rookie Robert West cleanly beat cornerback Willie Brown for a second Kansas City touchdown. 8 seconds later, Giant Buck Buchanan got past Giant Bob Brown and caused Oakland's third turnover, which Jan Stenerud converted into 3 more points, for a total of 17 in the last 5 minutes of the first half. In the third quarter, number 12, Ken Stabler, replaced Darryl LaMonica and finally got the Raiders' powerful offense in gear. Oakland's first score came when Stabler handed off to self-appointed chief antagonist Marv Hubbard, number 44. For the day, Hubbard gained only 18 yards and 8 carries and fumbled twice. But when his one moment of glory came, he didn't want any of the 82,000 Chief fans to miss it. The Raiders might have taken over the game in the second half, but for the efforts of number 14, Ed Podolak. Podolak rushed for 115 yards and broke the game open on a fourth quarter screen pass from Len Dawson. For the Raiders, Ken Stabler kept firing and wound up hitting 14 of 23, including a touchdown to tight end Ray Chester, number 87. As the crowd chanted, "We want Hubbard," the Raiders' final efforts to get back into the game were thwarted by the inspired Kansas City defense. The Chiefs finally had their first victory at Arrowhead, and with it a half-game lead over the arch-rival Raiders. The fans at Arrowhead will not soon forget their first victory.
Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania was the site of the Steelers-Chiefs game, a game in which the lead in 2 divisions of the AFC was in jeopardy. In Pittsburgh this season, everyone loves the Steelers, as Chuck Noll's Young Toughs, with a 6-2 record, are off to their best start in 4 decades. Last week, they took a monumental step toward their first division title ever with their most impressive victory of the season, a 40-17 pasting of the Bengals. Terry Bradshaw, number 12, leads a Steelers offense that in 6 winning games this season has averaged over 35 points a game. 16-year veteran Len Dawson also has an explosive offense, but he'll be tested by a Steeler defense that has given up the 4th fewest points in the NFL, so he's polishing up new delivery skills. Dawson leads an offense capable of the big play or the ball control drive. Hank Stram's Chiefs are also coming off their most impressive victory of the year. Last week, they beat arch-rival Oakland to take first place in their division, a big step for them if they hope to repeat as division titleists. So, there are war drums on the Monongahela, as a loss for either will put that team's first-place status in jeopardy, as the Pittsburgh Steelers, leaders of the AFC Central Division, face the Kansas City Chiefs. After one running play, Bradshaw tried a pass, but second-year man Mike Sensabaugh, number 20, intercepted. After a 12-yard return, Sensabaugh was helped down by teammate Aaron Brown, number 87, on the Pittsburgh 41. Sensabaugh's steal set up a field goal try, but it was blocked. Then, and Bradshaw would get just 65 yards passing in the first half. In fact, when Bradshaw came back with the same pattern as this one that failed, it was Kansas City that scored. Safety Jim Kearney stepped in front of a Bradshaw bullet and returned 65 yards. It was fitting that a half so dominated by defense would see the only score come on a defense. Kansas City led 7-0, in and hit for 3. The penalty may have cost them a touchdown, but they were on the board, now trailing 7-3. Bradshaw had the ball. The Steelers were not as productive. In fact, they gave it up. Bradshaw had time, but threw right into the zone, manned by Bobby Bell. One of the Steelers' great improvements this year has been avoiding the turnover. Due to a change in thrust toward the running game this year, Bradshaw has not had to throw that much and had only thrown 6 interceptions until this game. But this turnover wouldn't hurt Pittsburgh. In fact, Dawson's offense finally crossed the magic midfield stripe on their own for the first time in the game. They did it on a sustained drive, with Dawson getting good protection when he threw and doing it on his own when his receivers were covered. Even their running attack reared its head for the first time. Watch the Chiefs center block number 60, Ben McGee, on a trap Podolak broke for 12 into Pittsburgh territory. But here the Chiefs' offense faltered. Dawson floated a balloon and was fortunate the catch was made out of bounds by Steeler cornerback John Rouser. 2 more plays failed, and Jan Stenerud came in for an easy 35-yarder. But watch Stenerud's reaction. He knows he's missed, even though the Kansas City bench keeps watching and hoping. It's still 7-3 Chiefs near the end of the third quarter. Brockington, even a Larry Brown. He has some of each of them. Quickness, power, and most of all, tremendous balance and strength in his legs. Able to break tacklers the likes of Willie Lanier. Able to run over smaller cornerbacks like Mike Sensabaugh and other supposed sure tacklers in a secondary. Harris has a long future in the NFL. Harris's great effort was the last on this drive and set up a second Roy Gerela field goal. A chip shot from 10 yards. The Steelers closed the gap to 1, down 7-6. Gerela's Gorillas were another reason for the Steelers showing this season, for they are the Steeler bomb squad. And when Gerela failed to kick the ball out of the end zone, which was rare, the Gorillas prevented any long returns, giving Kansas City's offense poor field position. But field position didn't seem to matter to the Chiefs, for no matter where they were in trouble. Watch number 68, L.C. Greenwood, strip his block, then bust the ball loose from Ed Podolak. The Chiefs will appear to recover the fumble, but watch the ball as it trickles away and a Steeler defender recovers. Ed Podolak, a hero a week ago against Oakland, was having his problems against the Steelers, while Jack Ham, the man who recovered, was not yet finished with his heroics. So the Steelers had their first big break of the second half, and Bradshaw this time tried to pass his way to the goal. But the Chiefs denied Terry and the Steelers any gains on 3 straight downs, and Gerela would again come in, this time from 49 yards out. We isolated Gerela on the attempt, and his reaction will give you the result. You might think the Steelers had just won the division championship, the way they mobbed Gerela after his three-pointer. Maybe they knew something, for Gerela's third three-pointer had given Pittsburgh a 9-7 lead with 5 minutes left. The field goal, the Steelers regained possession. Jim Otis's fumble was recovered by Jack Ham again, and Ham would set it up for his former teammate from Penn State to finish off Kansas City. Franco Harris played in the shadow of All-American Lydell Mitchell at State, but the Steelers scouts deemed Harris a better pro prospect and drafted him before Mitchell. They were well advised. Mitchell has not even played for a losing team, the Colts, while Harris is burning up the league. This run put him over 100 yards for the 4th time in the 5 games he started. 2 plays later, he took a pitch out, stripped number 99 Wilbur Young's attempted high tackle, rolled over safety Jim Kearney's attempted low tackle, and jogged in for a touchdown. The Steelers now led 16-7. With 3 minutes left, the Steelers would have a chance to hammer the final nails into the Chiefs' coffin when Dawson threw into the NFL's leading secondary, and safety Glenn Edwards, a second-year player from Florida A&M, intercepted. Like the Dolphins, the Steelers' defense is stacked with youth, sprinkled with a few veterans, and characterized by aggressiveness. From here, Harris tried to run out the final 2 minutes, but failed. Because of his unwillingness to fold, Harris may have a tendency to fumble, and the Chiefs got a break when they recovered Harris's fumble. The lateral after the fumble was no good, but of even more concern was the fact that Bradshaw limped off the field. He would be all right, but Chuck Noll was now intently watching the Chiefs' offense with 1.5 minutes to play. They still had an outside chance with a touchdown and field goal. The Steelers were in a prevent and gave up a couple of medium-range passes, but Dawson had used too many short plays to nick his way downfield, using up his timeouts and the clock. By the time he was inside the 10, only seconds remained, and even then he came up empty as the Steelers secondary kept the lid on Otis Taylor when it counted, and Dawson just had no one to go to. It was more than fitting that the game ended with Dawson on his back, the victim of another Who's He defender, rookie Craig Hanneman, number 67. For this victory had to be the high water mark for the Steeler defense. Chuck Noll's 11 angry souls had shut out the Chiefs' offense without even a field goal for the first time in eons. Now 7-2, Chuck Noll's team is made up of high draft choices and veterans. He has changed his offense to a short game attack around Franco Harris and Bradshaw, and forged a defense that can no longer be considered a fluke. The Steelers no longer smell just the smoke of the steel mills. There's a sweeter aroma in Pittsburgh now, the smell of victory and a championship.
Whenever Mike Garrett comes back to Kansas City, there's an outward air of congeniality. But underneath, the ex-Chief, now Charger, is harboring a grudge. He wants to beat his ex-team very badly, especially in a year when his new team has managed to win only 2 games. San Diego's problem has been one of proper mixture. Before number 10, Mike Livingston rallied the Chiefs with a shot to Robert West, number 26. But West's touchdown came too late in the day against a frustrated San Diego team whose season had been ruined by turnovers. This time, Kansas City took its turnover, as the scrapping Charger defense intercepted 4 passes and claimed 2 fumbles. It was only fitting that a bit of Charger pass should do the Chiefs in for good. John Hadel to Gary Garrison worked as good as ever. Garrison left his defender sprawl and then one-handed it. For the old Chargers, the 27-17 San Diego victory was an invigorating moment of revenge against a team which had so often ruined their seasons in the past. For the new Chargers, it was a hopeful glimpse of a mix that just might produce a winner.
Last week in Oakland, it was almost midnight for Hank Stram and his Kansas City Chiefs, who needed to win to stay in contention in the AFC West. But beating the Oakland offense is never easy, especially Fred Biletnikoff, who loves to catch passes in those dark corners of the Oakland end zone. There was anger, but for Len Dawson and his teammates, the clock lacks but one tick until it strikes 12 to end their disappointing and unexpectedly poor season. Arrowhead Stadium opened 11 weeks ago, filled with fiery optimism. 5 home losses later, the dreams of Kansas City Super Bowl VII have grown stone cold. Last week, a hardy few ventured out in icy winds to watch the Chiefs wind down against the equally frigid Denver Broncos. While the Chiefs are not accustomed to finishing out a season playing meaningless games, this is one area where the Broncos have vast experience. Number 83, Tom Graham, heaped more woes on the Chiefs. And then number 12, Charlie Johnson, went to work on number 40, Jim Marcellus. Officials ruled that number 25, Haven Moses, was illegally leaned on. And the interference call set up a 1-yard Floyd Little touchdown to give Denver the early lead. But for the unbelieving Marcellus, the worst was yet to come. This time, Johnson and Moses connected for 6 points, and Marcellus reflected the frustration of Kansas City's winter of discontent. But then the Chief defense began to find a useful outlet for this frustration. They broke down Johnson's pass pocket and sacked him 4 times, then picked him clean when he looked for the quick out. Sneak thief Jim Kearney, number 46, slipped in from 29 yards out as the Chiefs and Coach Hank Stram took a rare opportunity to celebrate with an Arrowhead war dance. Now it was too late for a title, but suddenly a year of hard luck seemed to be evening itself out. Was it an incomplete pass or a fumble? This time, the Chiefs won a judgment call to set up Ed Podolak's 1-yard touchdown run. Now Johnson felt he had been robbed, but the real thievery came on Denver's next offensive series. Number 78, Bobby Bell, loped 61 yards in his red high tops to remind everyone that many superior athletes remain of a team which was once tabbed the Super Chiefs. Bell's touchdown and a Jan Stenerud field goal gave Kansas City a 21-14 lead and rendered harmless a last-minute Denver touchdown by number 22, Fran Lynch. In a season which had started with such lofty goals, a 24-21 victory over a last-place team may not seem very important. But for Chief fans, or rather what is left of them, it was enough to kindle hope for a different kind of year next season at Arrowhead.
The fantastic new scoreboard in fantastic new Arrowhead Stadium shows highlights of previous Kansas City games. There haven't been as many highlights in Arrowhead as there were in old Municipal Stadium. The last week brought Baltimore, a team which had won 3 in a row, and as coach John Sandusky said, quote, "They just ran the ball down our throats." Number 38, Wendell Hayes, left Colts strewn all over the field as he rushed 19 times and gained 104 hard-earned yards on the ground and 55 more through the air. Len Dawson hit on 15 of 21 passes for 2 touchdowns, one of them to Wendell Hayes. Dawson's second touchdown went to another old Kansas City favorite, and now apparently healthy, Otis Taylor. Another who returned from the injured to score against Baltimore was number 14, Ed Podolak. After a 10-10 halftime tie, the Chiefs monopolized the remainder of the game. As in the old days at Municipal Stadium, the offense controlled the ball with long scoring drives, while the defense manhandled the opposition's backfield. For Kansas City fans, it was a glimpse of better days gone by. The Chiefs cooled the Colts 24-10. For Hank Stram, a win against the Falcons would avert his worst record since 1963. For Norm Van Brocklin, a victory over the Chiefs would give him his best record ever as head coach of the Rising Falcons. The Atlanta offense moved well against the once stout Chief defense in the first two quarters, and this 39-yard Bob Berry pass to Jim Mitchell set up a 1-yard Art Malone touchdown and a 7-3 halftime lead for the Falcons. Len Dawson, closing out his 16th season with an 18 for 26 performance, put the Chiefs in the lead with this 15-yard touchdown pass to Otis Taylor. Midway in the final quarter, Berry regained the lead for Atlanta with this 17-yard peg to Ken Burrow. The happy Falcons cinched a victory. But old pro Lenny Dawson capped a methodical 81-yard drive with time winning with a 7-yard pass to Ed Podolak. Podolak's catch gave the Chiefs a 17-14 win and closed out one of their most disappointing seasons on a somewhat happy note. But it was still hard to forget the preseason Super Bowl hopes which flew so high in Kansas City. For Dave Hampton, number 43, the day was hard to forget, period. Through 14 games, Hampton had hammered into defenses, giving power to the Atlanta offense. Today was to be his turn to go over the magic 1,000-yard mark. At halftime, he was honored as Atlanta's most valuable player. Then early in the fourth quarter, he cracked through the 1,000-yard barrier and got a game ball and a standing ovation. Incredibly, a few plays later, he was thrown for a 6-yard loss, which put him back under 1,000 yards, and he never regained the lost yards. At game's end, all he could do was kiss the milestone goodbye and wonder what could possibly be more frustrating.